Hi, I'm Sean Waxenfelter with the STW Group. If you're wondering why your change efforts to improve your bottom line aren't working, stick around and watch this short video to find out why. Are you often wondering why changes or improvements you make in your organization are not showing the desired impact on your bottom line? There are many reasons that could explain this, but in our experience, an important reason is the way an organization looks at how their work gets done. All too often we tend to look at work in the confines of our own sphere. In other words, our view is very limited. How? Let's talk ants. Let's imagine an anthill on the ground. Now, if I were to peel the ground back, we would see that under the anthill are a myriad of tunnels. And let's say instead of just one anthill, there are 2 or even 3, each with their own tunnels. In fact, if we were to look even closer, we would see that these tunnels and anthills are actually all connected in what we might call a colony or a system. So what look like 3 separate and distinct things are really one. In many organizations, this is how we look at and manage work. Work tends to be managed in silos, or as represented here, anthills, as fragmented tasks separated by imaginary walls, all doing our own work as it's been defined for us. And we assign someone to lead that anthill. That leader's job is to ensure their team's work gets done, and in most cases, these artificial walls define the scope of the work. The difficulty with this approach is that while employees tend to be limited to their department or position, the work itself is an end-to-end series of tasks that happens horizontally across multiple silos. And employees don't always see what happens on the other side of their silo. So looking at how to improve the way work gets done in the context of one's own sphere can be counterproductive and cause other problems downstream. Here's a simple example to illustrate the point. Let's assume your company produces a widget and it takes a total of 12 working hours and 3 functional areas to produce it. And let's say that one of these areas makes a change to shorten the duration of the processing time in their function. In theory, this should be great for both the organization and the customer. But what if, by making that change in one area, the team inadvertently increased the processing time in the next area? Believe me, this happens, and it happens a lot. In this type of scenario, the work was only being looked at in the confines of their own sphere, instead of looking at and understanding how the work traveled across the organization. Had they looked at the work as a process holistically and involved the other functions, they may have identified better solutions and produced a more favorable outcome. These are the types of problems the STW Group loves to help companies solve. But until I hear from you, I want to leave you with 2 insights to challenge the way you might look at work in your organization. Number 1, instead of looking at work as it happens within each silo, look at work as a whole, horizontally, how it flows end to end. Begin by defining what those core processes are. Define where they start, where they end, the steps that make up the processes, and who plays a role in each step. From there, you're better equipped to look for bottlenecks, to identify risks and where breakdowns are most likely to occur or have a history of occurring, and to find appropriate ways to measure performance. Having people specifically dedicated to look at work this way and understand the bigger picture is where you start to make solid, sustainable improvements. Number 2, we believe it's imperative that employees and teams understand how they and the work they do connects to the bigger picture. For example, do your employees understand what work happens before it gets to them? And conversely, what happens to the work after they finish their part? Sometimes a person's role can be several layers removed from the end product or the customer output, so they lose sight of the importance of what they do and how their contribution has an impact to the success of the company. An employee doesn't just enter data or process orders or bolt on fenders or drill out holes or complete paperwork. They are doing their function so that a bigger function can occur. That bigger function is usually making the customer whole, giving them what they expect, but it can't happen without each person's collective contribution. If you're experiencing these types of challenges and want to discuss further, check out our website and let us know how the STW Group can help your company. Until then, I'm Sean Waxenfelter with the STW Group.